Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. You read from Chaitanya Bhagavata, Madhya-Khanda, chapter 26. Offer my respectful obeisances to my spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada has all kinds of disciples. So, he's a very great spiritual master. So this is chapter 26, and this is by Vrndavana Thakur. And the title of the chapter is Description of Mercy to Sukumbar Brahmachari, and description of the Lord's desire to accept sannyas when his students tried to correct him. O Lord Chaitanya, O all auspiciousness of the worlds, glory, glory to you. O Lord, please place in my heart the gift of your 2 feet. One day, Lord Chaitanya mercifully begged food from Sukumbar Brahmachari. The Lord said, I have a strong desire to eat food that you offer. Don't be afraid. What I tell you is my firm decision. Again and again, Lord Chaitanya spoke in this way. Hearing this, Sukumbar, in a voice choked with emotion, said, I am a beggar, a lowly, degraded, condemned sinner. You're the eternal religion personified, and I'm fallen. O Lord, when will you give me the shade of your feet? I'm not as good as a worm or an insect. You are only playing a big trick on me. Lord Chaitanya said, Please do not think in your heart that this is a trick. I feel a strong desire for your cooking. Go quickly, prepare an offering to the Lord. I will come at midday today. Still, Sukumbar was frightened at heart. He asked the devotees what he should do. They all said, Why are you afraid? The truth is, he's not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He always tries to eat food offered by persons who worship him with love. He begged food from Vidura, who was a Sudra's son. He did that because of Vidura's devotion. The Lord begs food from his devotees and eats what they offer. That is his nature. You go home, prepare an elaborate meal, and offer it to him with love. If you still feel fear in your heart, then don't touch anything while you cook. You are very fortunate the Lord is so kind to you. Hearing these words, the Brahmin happily returned to his home. After bathing, Sukumbar carefully heated some scented water. He cooked rice with splendid garba-koda. Not touching anything as he cooked, the Brahmin folded his hands. Jai Krishna, Govinda, Gopal, Vanamali, Sukumbar happily chanted. At that moment, Goddess Lakshmi, who was very devoted to her husband, who is the mother of the worlds, glanced at the devotee's food. At that moment, the food became the sweetest nectar. After his bath, Lord Chaitanya came there. He came with Nityananda and some other associates. Lord Chaitanya changed out of his wet clothing. Hungry, the Lord happily glanced at Sukumbar. The house was near in the Ganga. Then the food was very happily offered to Lord Vishnu. Smiling, Lord Chaitanya sat down and happily ate. Filling his eyes, he glanced at his servants. Lord Chaitanya, who eats what Brahma and the demigods offer in yagnas, now ate the food offered by Sukumbar. It's very difficult to become fortunate like Sukumbar. But Chaitanya said, From the time of my birth, I've never tasted any food more delicious than this. How delicious is this garbakota? I cannot describe it. How, not even touching it, did you cook food like this? You are one of my friends. Friends like you are the root from which I grow. But Chaitanya cast a glance of mercy at Suklambar. All the devotees wept. Again and again the Lord relished the food in this way. Filled with bliss, he ate. The non-devotee sinner millionaires should see the mercy the beggar Suklambar attained. By wealth, followers, material learning, one does not attain Lord Chaitanya. The Supreme Lord is conquered by the nectar of devotional service. This all the Vedas sing. The Lord sat and lovingly ate, and smiling, the Lord chewed betel nuts. Accepting the remnants from the Lord's plate, the devotees, overcome with bliss, forgot everything else. Brahma, Shiva, Ananta Shesh would respectfully place that plate to their heads. How much bliss there was in that beggar's home. In this way, Lord Chaitanya happily enjoyed pastimes. After some time spent in talking about Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya lay down for a nap. Devotees also lay down for a nap. Then one in their midst saw a great wonder. Sri Vijaya Das was one of the Lord's students. That great soul then saw something of the Lord's glories and opulences. No one in Navadvip wrote as gracefully as he. He personally copied many books for Lord Chaitanya. Everyone called him Vijay the penman. Still, because they had no devotion, most people did not understand his heart. As he lay down, Lord Chaitanya rested his hand on Vijay's body. Vijay suddenly saw many great wonders. He saw the Lord's hand suddenly become like a great lofty pillar. Then he saw the Lord was covered with jewel ornaments. He saw many rings on the Lord's fingers. With the splendor of how many millions of suns and moons did those jewels glisten, he did not know. Seeing Lord Chaitanya's effulgent hand spread everywhere, even up to the demigod Brahma, Vijaya rejoiced. On seeing all this, Vijaya suddenly called out. Lord Chaitanya then placed his graceful hand over Vijaya's mouth. Lord Chaitanya said, "For as many days as I am here, don't tell anyone of this." Speaking these words, the Lord smiled and glanced at Vijaya. Vijaya jumped up and roared. Vijaya's roar awoken the devotees. They tried to hold Vijaya still. No one could hold him. For some moments, Vijaya was like a madman, and at the end he fainted in ecstasy. The devotees knew Vijaya must have seen some wonder. Everyone wept. The Lord asked everyone, "What did he say?" Suddenly Vijaya began to scream. Then the Lord said, "I think it must be the power of the Ganga. Vijaya was devoted to the Ganga." Or perhaps not. Perhaps it was because of the deities in Suklabar's home. Or perhaps Vijaya saw Lord Krishna. After speaking these words, Lord Chaitanya placed his hand on Vijaya's body. Vijaya suddenly regained consciousness and all the Vaishnavas smiled. Rising up, Vijaya was stunned like an inanimate object. For 7 days he wandered Nadia like that. He did not eat, he did not sleep, he ignored his body. In this way Vijaya wandered about. No one understood his heart. After some days, Vijaya returned to external consciousness. These wonderful pastimes happened in Suklambar's home. Who has the power to describe Suklambar's good fortune? Lord Chaitanya personally accepted the food he cooked. Accompanied by his associates, Lord Chaitanya enjoyed these pastimes in fortunate Suklambar's home. Simply by hearing these pastimes of the Lord's eating Suklambar's cooking and giving mercy to Vijay, one attains the great treasure of pure devotional service. In this way, Lord Chaitanya, before whom all the Vedas bowed down, always enjoyed pastimes in Navadvip. Accompanied by Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya enjoyed pastimes like this every day in the homes of each of the Vaishnavas. Lord Chaitanya was always agitated by tasting the nectar of ecstatic love. In this way, he manifested his different natures. He manifested as the natures of Matsya, Kurma, Shinga, Varaha, Vamana, Ramachandra, Buddha, Kalki, and Krishna. He manifested the natures of these avatars. On the pretext of being in ecstasy, the Lord manifested all these forms. Each of them he manifested and then hid. For many days he would not stop the nature of Lord Balaram. Entering the nature of Lord Balaram, he became as if wildly intoxicated. "Bring me wine," he screamed. Understanding the Lord's mood, Nityananda filled a cup with Ganga water and respectfully offered it to the Lord. The Lord screamed and roared. Because of that roar, Navadvip and every other place in the three worlds trembled. Then the Lord danced wildly, and the whole earth seemed to break into pieces. The earth and all the universe was thrown into chaos. Seeing the Lord's dancing, all the devotees became afraid. Everyone sang songs describing Lord Balaram. And hearing these songs, Lord Chaitanya was overcome with bliss.